Hey everyone, it's Dan from the editing room. While you're listening to this, I am already in Singapore. We recorded this video, this podcast, over a week early just because we wanted to make sure we didn't miss Galactic Ambition this week. And when we recorded this, this was really focused on the hot button issue of the day, the Planetary Qualifiers. And we say later in this episode that we hope that by the time this releases, FFG has responded to the sort of the feedback on Planetary Qualifiers. And I'm so happy to say, and I want to make sure we get it out there right away, that FFG has responded, said they've listened to the feedback. And as of, when I'm recording this, they will be coming out with some information at a later date. So hopefully by the time you're listening to this, they've also provided that information about how they're responding to this. But I thought, that in the interest of making sure we still continue to put out an episode for you, and because I think the feedback we have here is very fair, very constructive, and just something to think about going forward for FFG and for the customers and everything. I wanted to still put this video out there, but I just wanted to start by giving props to FFG for right away, very quickly, before I could even get this out. They took some time to tell everyone that they have listened to feedback and they are going to be responding and hopefully doing something to kind of make things a lot smoother on these first Planetary Qualifiers. So that's it. I just wanted to make sure that's out there. Huge props to FFG. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for listening. And I hope that, this constructive feedback is ultimately unnecessary going forward. But still, on to the episode. Hope you guys still find this interesting and enjoy listening to it. And let's do it. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Galactic Ambition, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast, part of the Maindeck podcast family. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jason, and boy, oh boy, it's really exciting when you're at your job and someone comes in and goes, hey, what's that card game? Is it a Star Wars trading card game?
Wait, without, not plural?
No, it was Star Wars. Was at work today.
Nice.
Yeah, so... for everyone who doesn't know, Dan and I both are in the LGS space, and sometimes, it takes all walks of life. And where we are located in Florida, the common joke is everyone comes here to retire. And where we are in Florida, there is a very large contingent of retirees. And this older couple came in today looking for Pokemon cards for their kid. And then the lady just goes, "Oh my gosh, is that card game about the Star Wars?" And I'm like, "Yes, the Star Wars."
I didn't know. So that's a famous quote, a famous gag from Arrested Development, where the mom says, "Here's $10, go see a Star Wars."
I didn't even think about that for a second. Now now it's a lot funnier. But yeah, that happened today at work, and sometimes we like to banter about stuff, and it was really fresh in my mind, and I was like, man, I'm sure everyone get a kick out of the Star Wars. They didn't end up buying any Star Wars cards though.
Oh no!
No, they didn't know if their kid was interested, because most kids nowadays, I don't know. I feel like maybe because we're a little bit older. I don't know how Star Wars resonates to a real younger audience. Actually,
yeah, that's something I've thought about a lot.
Yeah,
just the general continued culture. The Star Wars is doing well enough with Disney, at least in going to be continuing to produce content, whether or not we're not going to get into what you think of their release schedule or particular shows or whatever, but it's doing well enough to keep producing. But the question is what demographics are actually caring about it?
Yeah.
Are the kids getting into it? That was something that honestly George Lucas did super well.
Mm-hmm.
Is just when he did the prequel trilogy, as much as people maligned it, that did get a whole new generation into the Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I'm just not sure. I don't know.
I think it's just a lot
of
parents. It's parent driven nowadays,
Yeah.
I see that a lot, and I see it in the LGS space too. A lot of the younger people that come out is usually impressed upon their parents to enjoy it. I'm not too sure. I guess that'd be an interesting thing to dig into, because I didn't even think about that until I was like, oh, you know what? When she said you don't know if the grandkid's interested, I'm like, well, I don't know what the exposure is nowadays to that, especially I don't know. Is Star Wars in Fortnite?
Yes.
Okay, so when maybe
That's like infamously.
like actually
That's where. No, if you don't know, this is crazy. That is infamously where Palpatine's speech ahead of the Rise of Skywalker debuted.
Oh,
So,
really?
Rise of Skywalker came out, and at the start, it's just like the dead speaks. Palpatine, issued an announcement or whatever, and a common criticism was, why didn't we get to hear Palpatine's big, like, I'm back, speech? And it was actually in Fortnite,
That's
like the week before.
That's actually crazy. I had no idea.
It was nuts.
It was so weird. Out of touch with like Fortnite and all that stuff. I just was like, maybe it's in that and that reaches a younger audience somehow. But that's actually crazy. I had no idea about that. That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny. I do know my nephew who's in he's in the teens. Now he's a young old. I don't know. He's around 15, I think. If I had to guess, I'm terrible at this, but I'm a terrible uncle. But I think he's around 15. And as he was growing up, like when the sequel trilogy were coming out, he really dug Star Wars. He was into it. He wanted Star Wars Legos. We went to see Rise of Skywalker together. So like he really liked the ships and droids. That was his favorite stuff. So I know that kids can get into it, and his parents didn't really care. My sister and her husband aren't really Star Wars nerds or anything. So they can, but yeah, I just don't know if it's a common thing.
Okay. Well, I didn't mean for that to turn into that, but that was actually a cool little history lesson for me in a way. And that was kind of just neat. I like that. I love learning, guys. I love to learn. You should too. Thanks, Professor Dan.
That's what they call me because of my nice little sweaters.
Yeah.
Learning is fun. And
I think more about Mr. Rogers when I think of your sweater.
That's what I've been called. The Mr. Rogers of TCGs.
I have pineapples on today.
One person. You're the Weird Al of TCGs, actually.
Factually, as said on by Twitter. Oh man, or X. Yeah. But that was fun. Cool.
Let's, Jason, before we get into the meat of today's episode. So today's episode, everyone, this is going to be an interesting one. Jason and I are going to take our very, very kind of on-brand critical lens to some of what is being discussed right now, the discourse around the planetary qualifiers, as per last week, as you're listening to this episode, last week's announcement of the planetary qualifier prizes.
Yeah.
So just a little peek behind the curtain. When this is debuting, I'm actually currently in Singapore. So we did record this ahead of schedule, but we had to go normally with Galactic Ambition. We do the night before, I record it. It's out. It's fresh. It's hot. So we can get the fresh spoilers, but this week we had to do a little advance. So as we're recording this, the hot thing is this planetary qualifier announcement. And I'm just going to put this preface out there that I hope that in a week, everything we're saying in this episode is old. There's been announcements, there's been some discussion and everything from FFG, and what we're saying is completely out of date. I hope that's the case. And if so, comment down below and be like, yep, you guys are right, it's out of date. I would love
that's literally all we want. Like, all what there's I want everyone to understand, a part of this preface is nothing that we're going to say is trying to be negative Nancy's or anything like that. This is going to be a very, I think, honestly, without getting too much into it, where everybody is really at with this.
Yeah.
And Dan and I have a little bit of extra insight because we've ran large scale events like this for other companies, been involved in this kind of stuff where, without leading the hatchet on that, like, hopefully everyone's in alignment. And by the time you guys are listening to this, we've had forum post, a Twitter post, all sorts of stuff saying, hey, by the way, we're hearing you. Here's what we got going on.
Yep. And if that's the case, great. If not, then, well, we're gonna go ahead and just lend our opinion to the cauldron of discussion and just see what happens from it. Before we get into that, I do want to mention that, again, as we're releasing this in 9 days from release, I think if I'm doing my math right, on October 6th. I know it's Jason,
okay. No, I forgot from release. Okay. I was like, God, no, but yes.
Not release. No. 9 days after the release of this episode, we should have the Sith Skirmish being hosted by Maindeck. It is a tournament that you guys can enter. I've already put on the screen the picture with all the info on it. This is going to be a webcam tournament that we're running. We mentioned in our last episode, $10 entry fee. The winner is going to win a convention exclusive promo set, 2024 convention exclusives, all the cool Sith. So you're skirmishing for the Sith in this beautiful tournament. And everyone who enters also, I'm going to say right now, participation prizes out to everybody.
Everyone.
Every single player who enters this, emphasis mine, is going to get at least 2 C3OP packs. If we get a lot of entries in the tournament, things can scale up a little bit, but we're hoping to at least kind of hit the mark that we're looking for. We're going to send out the C3OP packs mailed out to everybody. You can enter from anywhere in the world. I don't care. You just have to be there for the round 1 pairings and play in the tournament. And again, $10 entry fee. We got a link to jwwcards.com where you can sign up for it. That is who our sponsor of a lot of our stuff we do, and that's who is hosting the entry fees and everything. And that entire day, Jason, what are we doing? Why don't you tell people?
I don't know. We're casting it. We're going to be talking.
I'm leaving that in.
No. That was the joke.
Okay.
That was the joke. Of course, I know what we're doing. We're casting the event. It's going to be really exciting. It's going to be an interesting experiment for Dan and I to try to do. Our goal is a constant stream of information, whether it's us talking about podcast subjects, question from you guys. I already have a wonderful list of ideas I'm actually going to send in tonight because I was working on it at work today instead of, being productive at work.
That is productive.
But I was productive at work. If my management is listening, please don't fire me. But we're going to really try to make it to where there is no real downtime. One of, I think Dan and I kind of agreed, a pet peeve is be back in 45 minutes for the start of next round. We want it to be really engaging. So this is kind of, a crack at that. And hopefully you guys really either, whether playing or watching, have a really awesome time and enjoy the event.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It will be, we're going to ask for a little bit of grace. It will be a little bit of an endeavor for us, but we have a TO, we have a head judge on staff, and we have both of us who are planning on focusing entirely on casting. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to just produce some entertaining content for you guys. So if you can't play, we hope you guys tune in and check out the stream. It's already up on YouTube. Links are everywhere in the description, everything. Just go hop down there, go where you need to, bookmark what you need to. And we hope to see you guys there for a really, really fun event. Yeah,
please come on out, show your support, whether it's a share, let us know what you think, comment if you have any questions or anything you want us to talk about in our downtime, because I could use the help.
Yeah, and it'll be fun. Jason and I mean, we historically talk way too much during these podcasts anyway.
Absolutely.
So it really should be no trouble filling any downtime. You guys will get to
probably meet my cat too, so tune in.
Yeah, meet Jason's cat.
Meet my cat. That's going to be the big thing, because she will definitely show up if I'm sitting in a chair forever.
Yeah. Sith Skirmish, Sunday, October 6th. So hope to see you guys there. Now, I'm going to say one more thing before we toss it over to Jason to lead off our main topic, which is the problems with the planetary qualifiers, our concerns, our critique of the planetary qualifier system. But that is, if you guys enjoy what we're doing here in Galactic Ambition and all of the Main Deck podcast family of podcasts, really appreciate all the ways you can support us, which include liking the video, giving a 5-star rating on iTunes or Spotify if you listen there, commenting down below, sharing it with your friends, subscribing to the channel, of course, really helpful. And if you're shopping for singles, when you use TCG Player, you can use our affiliate link, bit.ly/shoptcgs, bit.ly/shoptcgs. Buy your singles that way. It gives a little kickback to us. Frankly, that kickback from TCG Player is what keeps our audio podcast going right now, because seriously, it's there are expenses and it pays for them, and it's beautiful. And I really appreciate that. So don't forget about us. If you do shop on TCG Player, we'd really love you to use that link down in the description as well. Thank you all so much for your support. Now, Jason, this is going to be, again, this is going to be critical, but with the aim of constructive feedback. Jason, we love Star Wars Unlimited.
Absolutely.
We love it. This game is one of the best on the market. It's extremely fun. It's so good. And to that end, it just makes it harder, I think, when we're passionate about something, we love the game, we want it to be the best possible, and we see things happening that they could be better, right? It just makes it harder to see that, I think. And that's really the perspective we're approaching this from. So why don't you, Jason, start by leading everyone into what are we even talking about? What's going on here? What's with the planetary qualifiers? What's with the prizes? And then we'll give our opinions on them, and we'll give kind of our feedback and constructive ideas for how to address this now and in the future. Let's talk about it.
So today, Fantasy Flight's really good about giving us streams about the game, which is awesome. We love that. Love the constant streams of streams and information. Information's great. Today we got our information about the Planetary Qualifiers, which I know a lot of people really excited for, right? It's our first kind of string of events after Gen Con, our first real kind of, year zero of organized play, season zero, however we're going to go about it, of organized play. And the announcements went out today and they were met with reactions. So let's get into that. So let's talk about the prize breakdown. So Planetary Qualifiers. The winner, well, I'm just going to start from the bottom because actually or from the winner because I think it makes more sense to talk about it.
Can I just add a piece of context before you get into the specifics of the prizes? Planetary Qualifiers have been available for sign up for a month. I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's good to mention right away because I love this stream, but it's a few weeks right now. I mean, the first Planetary Qualifier is happening the same weekend basically as the Sith Skirmish.
Sure.
So we're just a few weeks away. And players have been signed up for a month and a half, and just now did we get the actual prize announcement, which was like to my taste a little bit late. But
I would say argue extremely late, but that's okay.
But when we get this now, Jason, what did we hear? Finally, this event that people they've been sold out everywhere. People have been signed up for a month and a half. What is it? What are the prizes?
So we're going to get some prizes of, I'll just go, I'll start from the top, participation, right? When you enter an event, you should get this promo. I was going to talk about the champion stuff, but I'll put the cake topper at the end of that. So if you signed up for this tournament and you're one of the 64 people who, however it's going to be done, I only got the cliff notes and watched some of it because I was at work. I don't recall if it's top 64, how stores are going to do it. Or if it's the 64
I believe it's up to the store. I believe it's up to the store because they didn't delineate a specific thing.
Yeah.
I imagine if that's the case, I imagine some stores will raffle. So, I mean, we're sort of bearing the lead. Yeah. There are 128 entries, 128 spots in all these. They capped the attendance. They like FFG capped the attendance to Planetary Qualifiers to 128.
Yep.
And then sent out 64 participation or sending out 64.
And those 64 participation promos are legal authority promo arts, which is fine. I'm actually
legal authority is the card. Yeah, fine. I ran one of in my Kylo deck, which by the way I didn't mention. Shout out, we had a player. I already forgot their name. Who top cut a 1K? I think it was a 1K with exactly the Reanimator Kylo list that we posted.
I didn't know that.
Modified sideboard, but I never posted sideboard. But use Cobb Vanth in the sideboard.
That's so cool.
One for one, the Reanimator deck. I was so excited, and so I feel so bad. I need to. I'll find their name and shout them out in a little bit. But one of Legal Authority was played in there, so it was played in an event at least.
and two, I'd argue that entry promos, they don't need to be super duper gangbusters, right? It's an entry promo, it's a participation promo that usually everyone gets. Which unfortunately in this situation we're not going to get. That's not going to be the case. It's going to be 64 people, and then we're going to get into our top 8. We're going to get some more stuff, right? We got top 8 this time, right? It wasn't top 16, just making sure. Yeah.
It is top 16.
It is top 16. I have my store showdown notes up next door to it because I kind of almost want to compare the two because there's actually some, I don't know. I don't feel it's too much different. But we've got that Dr. Evazan, right? Everyone really wanted more of that card. That's going to be to our top 16.
He's a
card in the card game. So therefore it's legal. So you get 16 of those, obviously, based on placing for your champion, etc. So you could have at least the Dr. Evazan. There's gonna be 40 of them that say champion on them.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Pretty limited.
So there you go. Pretty limited in functionality and collectability.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can't argue it though.
And then the champion, obviously, can't forget the judges. Judges, you're going to get a foil stamp version of Legal Authority, which again, sure.
I want to say that's a thematic promo for judges.
I love that, right? I like that. However, I'll save that for a little bit later.
Okay.
And then the playmat, right? You got to get a playmat if you win these events. Win this event, you get a playmat.
First place.
And it's the key art that's from the box for Shadows of the Galaxy. Okay. And last but not least, the initiative token, which is admittedly kind of cool. Like I will not say anything negative about the initiative token. I like it.
I think it's the coolest thing.
100% the coolest thing.
Prize of the physical prizes.
So that's the breakdown. That's what you got. That's what you probably spent your $35 to $40 based on whatever stores charged. I don't know what everybody charged. I don't have that data. But that's the breakdown. So that's what everybody's going to get. The
initiative token is top 4, just because that wasn't mentioned. Right, top and 4. They are doing the thing that store showdowns do, which, and this is a thing where I gave props to FFG when it was announced, and I still think it's great, where your placement doesn't just get you the one promo. If you're the champion, you earn the champion, the finalists, the top 4, and the top 8, and the top 16.
That's,
5 ones.
That's what was the carryover from the store showdown with my notes there. Like you get it's the same breakdown. So you're going to get the stamped ones. I think that's great. I think
I like that a lot.
That is awesome. More games should do stuff like that. Actually, I really do like that. So Dan, we kind of already talked about, what do you think about the prize breakdown there? How you feeling if you spike this event or get top 16, something like that?
So the one thing that isn't really mentioned here is that stores are, of course, encouraged to include their own pricing in this as well. So what we're talking about here is simply the kit that FFG is sending.
Correct.
And the store, it's up to the store to kind of do whatever else they need to do. I think here's my, I'm just going to cut right to the chase on my thoughts on this kit. I think this kit is very, very sufficient for a high level local event.
Okay.
A higher level local, but there's an emphasis on right?
Yeah.
A local level event. Okay. When I think of a higher level local level event, outside of a few cities in the US though, that isn't a 128 player event.
No.
Right? That's not. Name a card game where you can get a high level local event at 128 players. If it isn't Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh,
you can't.
There is not another game that can do that, right? So here's the okay. I don't know when to approach this exactly, but I just need to get this out there because this is really the crux of the issue today. What we're talking about is that there's this fundamental problem that FFG is dealing with that has been a problem. We've talked about it on this podcast since early on, of the game getting more popular than they expected, but also they had to order a lot of stuff way ahead of time and are working with what they've got.
Yeah.
Right. And they're doing what they're using what they have. I don't want to put the wrong words out there right now, but they're using what they have right now to make this happen. So for example, Planetary Qualifiers, I do believe these were intended to start out as local level events, just the way they're like, these are intended to be like Store Championship is like is literally called a casual level
It's literally
event.
called casual in the branding and in the tournament guide. It's a casual level event.
Store Showdown. Yeah. And then Planetary Qualifier is meant to be this sort of like what in other card games would be the Store Championship, I believe, like the thing that actually can like feed into points for things like if I go to a Grand Archive Store Championship, that's what the Planetary Qualifier is meant to be, where I can earn national invite points by playing in this event. Every
Pokemon
card game has
League Cup stuff like that.
Yep, we're running our League Cup next weekend, and
not challenges. Cup.
Yeah. We ran a challenge
like the tier, then the next year after. Yeah,
exactly. Challenge is League Challenge, and if you're a Pokemon player, League Challenge is like what our Store Showdown is.
Yeah,
and League Cup is what this Planetary Qualifier is like supposed to be. But the problem here, and I think I don't know how this happened ultimately, but the problem is there are 30 of these, 40 of these, whatever.
There are a lot.
Which is but not as many
really.
Stores as exist.
It's a lot if this was like a regional level style event. It's a lot.
Yep.
But this is not intended to be that.
And because of the quantity of them, and the fact they were strewn, throughout the US, these were really thrown out there as events that players seemed like they were being, it was sort of an idea that you would have to travel to these events to play in them. You were sort of encouraged almost by the amount of them and the placement of them. And the fact that the winner also is not part of the physical prize kit, but the winner of the Planetary Qualifier gets a day one buy.
That's
to
crazy, yeah.
the worlds.
That's
to
so good.
worlds,
Yeah.
not nationals. Like the Galactic Championship of this year, if you win a PQ, you do not have to play day one. You win out day one.
Yeah.
And then you start day two with a fresh record, and you get to just pop in and that. Okay, so the combination is, to me, it's the combination of this. They had the cap of 128 players,
Mhm.
and they all sold out.
Oh yeah,
all of them,
and very quickly,
very quickly,
yeah,
very quick. I was going to play in my PQ, and I didn't get
same.
to. So they sold out. People are, and I talked to tons of people. Tons of people are traveling 4-8 hours to play in these things. Like they're going the distance to play in this. Stores are limited in the amount of them, and they are putting up the prizes that they can, but product is also like, I mean, actually, frankly, in the back end, product is a lot better in Shadows now. We have significant product. We would be able to support, but like, it still is something where people have had trouble getting things and everything. So people are putting significant investments into the game to build competitive decks and then traveling to these events, playing in them. And the prize that they're playing for, the ultimate prize, is huge. If you're a competitive player, it's an insane advantage. It's a crazy advantage to have won a PQ before you go to play in Galactic Championship. And all of this is basically PQs. Maybe in the future, they're intended to be those store level events where that kit is beautiful, but this is not that. These are not currently, they just can't, the FFG can't just say, well, they're store level events. And then they are, because everything that they've actually done to them has made them absolutely not. These are our regionals. This is what we have for regionals
regardless
right now.
If it was supposed to be or not.
Yeah,
which is kind of the point I would get to. I don't want to.
Well, I've been talking a lot. Yeah. I want you to go ahead
to kind of piggyback off that. Without saying it, they basically implied, like, with the first off, with a 128 player cap, that says two things: A, spots are limited, and B, there's 128 for a local style event. That's a lot of spots, right? Yeah. Where is that? There's no parity between the two. So the implication about the prize being seen is like, oh, if I travel to this, it's got to be worth my time. Obviously, winning, it's going to be absurd, like we talked about. Regardless of what the promos did, mind you, the fact that the kit doesn't supplement 128 players is baffling for that cap. It's very baffling. And we know we could speculate as to why. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Whether it's we didn't know the popularity of the game, etc. It's still kind of, to say that we're going to have 128 players capped at these events, call something a participation promo and send 64. It could have been worded much differently to that end. And for the kind of how they, like you said, you kind of took what I was going to say there, but how they spread things, no, that's completely fine. How they spread things geographically tells people in their head, like, whoa, this is going to be big stuff. So the excuse that this is, that I've seen, and not so much excuse, but the reasoning that this is year zero and we should be thankful and all that. Yeah, but where is that? I don't know. I just don't feel like this is what they were hoping to achieve with this first. It's very obvious by now they've seen the reaction and all that, and what they were hoping, kind of like this messaging to put out there for their very first, like, post Gen Con events. And actually, funny that we say Gen Con events, the pricing at Gen Con is pretty much smokes most of this unless you win, right?
Yeah, it wasn't good. Right. Gen Con's pricing was also bad.
Yeah, and Gen Con's pricing still is a lot better than this in terms of if you spike it or get in your top cuts.
Yeah.
I'm talking about showing up. We knew that there wasn't going to be anything, but like the finalizer playmat. I mean, hello,
top 8 finalizer playmat. Yeah. I want to back up because this comparison is going to be much more useful when we talk about specifically. I think we need to talk about the intent of prizing in tournaments.
Sure.
Right. I think that's a really important conversation here, because this is a topic that you go to any social media today on release right now, Facebook, Twitter, I mean, I was in a conversation on Facebook. I was multiple conversations on Facebook. I was in a conversation on Twitter about it between a number
Discord
of other
was going
creators.
crazy.
The main deck Discord was popping off. We had people coming in, other content creators, other players, local players from my area, other players everywhere else from our leagues and everything. Like everyone's talking about this, right? And I've read a lot of different takes, and there's some things that I just want to mention because people are bringing up good points, interesting ways to look at things that I think are just important to discuss to get the well-rounded picture.
Sure.
So one thing that I've seen said is, the physical prizing isn't great. Okay. Right. Like, and that's an understatement for multiple reasons. The promos are terrible choices. Whatever. Who cares? I don't care about that much.
I don't care about that much.
The promos are not great choices. The playmat I don't think looks very cool, but fine. Sure. Art subjective. Who cares? The initiative token is cool. That's fine. And there aren't enough participation promos is like by far the worst offender
with a bullet
of each year. But who cares? Because the point of the event is the first place getting that round one, the day one buy. We're day one buy, so crazy. Day one buy.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the point, right? And the argument was, if you are going to play in this event, you're signing up to play in this event, that you understand what you're getting into. That is the thing you're winning. The promos are just, extra, like whatever. And I don't think that I don't think that's a viewpoint that people don't have, right? I think there are certainly some people who go, I don't really care, whatever. I'm there to win. I'm there to spike it. I'm there to get it. I would wager that's not the majority opinion. And the reason I believe typically that we are going to load up some cool promos. So if you look at any card game, I'm talking about game. This is where I'll call it actually a strength of Bandai. I rarely will call that out, but they toss in those cool promos in a lot of events to make top 16, get these cool promos. You can flip those promos immediately to get money back. Participation often will get little cool promo packs, and that means everybody who participates will get them unless the event is like crazy sold out. But they typically cap their events at their prize amount, not some weird number that is not the prize amount, which I want to talk about a little bit too. But the point of doing that is that even when you go to the event, they know this is a higher level event. They know there's a prize on the line that high level players will want and will travel for. And they know that the event fee is going to, as far as the company's production costs, whether it be FFG or Bandai or whatever, the cost of producing those promos is just minuscule compared to, anything else that the store has to do. So what they're doing here is they pay a small amount. They ship a big kit to the store. The store charges their amount, then gets to go ahead and they may have to pay for the kit, but when you pay for a kit, God, frankly, you don't pay a ton for these kits based on what you get back from them for any card game. And then everything else goes to, the store can put in prize support. They can make it a 2K. They can give do Yu-Gi-Oh style and just everybody gets 5 booster packs for playing or whatever. The point of doing that is that the players don't ever feel like, I went here, I got completely shorted. I negged $1 million traveling, booking the hotel, playing in the event. And I took 64th or 65th and I just got, totally skunked on prizes. Because they at least kind of made their entry fee back or something on doing that. And it means that when you think about a tournament, one person is at these PQs, one person is walking away happy. It's the first place who's going to walk away happy. The people who are getting the finals are going to hope that people want to buy Dr. Evazan's. And I don't know what that they will. So I do push against this. Well, the only thing that matters is first place, because it doesn't cost a lot for the company to provide prizes like this that support the players, and it allows players to get some EV back and travel, which makes it's what actually turns on competitive grinding for card games. It's not a viable option if every event only rewards to the number one, the first place. Yeah,
I'd agree. And the agency shouldn't be to the stores to provide that extra incentive. That should be included to that.
I believe that's true.
I'm a fully... as you guys might know, and Dan knows, I've traveled a lot this year for Final Fantasy, helping run events and all that this year. And every store provided price support, threw more price support on, and there was participation promos, top 32, 16, something. And then it was all cumulative. It was a great feeling. You got your value back. And these tournaments, while one person is trying to win it, they're made up by the masses, whether it's your mid-game players, the people that are going to go 2 and 5 like myself or something like that, that are going to go to these larger scale events, maybe not spike it, but want to experience it and stuff like that. I think that can't be forgotten about these events. Not all 128 people are going to win this event. They're not going with the intention to win this event. They might want to, but they also, I mean, I have friends who are like, I'm just going to go with my friends. If I get there, great. If not, I'll win a couple rounds. It'll be a good time to see people, stuff like that. Those people do it too. And we have to do things. I think that card game companies need to do things to keep those people wanting to come back to these events. When you basically say, all right, we're going to cap these events at 128 when this gets announced, in everybody's mind, when you see a 128 person cap, you're thinking everybody's going to get something participating, because every other game on the market, pretty much, I mean, honestly, I can't think of anything except
I can't think of a single
I really can't. And this is like in so many things. You get something for just walking through the door. So that's kind of tough to think about and kind of reconcile. And you're right. The cost is a drop in the ocean to send that stuff out. It keeps people going back to those stores, spending money. Those stores then buy your products and stock up for the next set. And you keep, it keeps that cycle going. So it's just, I just don't see how the mark gets missed on that. And like I said, before, we kind of thought there with what they're saying about, we didn't expect the popularity of the game. Yeah, but then don't say it's a 128 player cap.
That is the thing that I find really confusing about this situation.
Yeah, I just
if the kits were printed ahead of time, and so we can't print more because we knew ahead of time there were 64 per kit. Then what I assume, here's what I assume happened. And this is pure conjecture, so have fun. But when they announced that they're doing the game comes out, the game gets big, but they go, okay, well, we got to start our planetary qualifiers, we got to start them up. And if they thought about announcing 30 64 player events and then thought that's nowhere near enough, they're all going to sell out in minutes, we're going to make them bigger. And maybe they took a lesser of two evils approach, and they were like, well, we can either cap them way too low and everyone will complain that there are not enough spots, or we'll cap them way higher, but half the people will complain that they don't get a participation promo.
Is that like the trolley problem for this, right? It feels almost like that.
The Star Wars Limited trolley
it feels
problem.
like the trolley problem. It's just, again, I don't know. It's frustrating because it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. With either solution is not good.
If we were presenting this as a true dichotomy, that would be the case. But this is a false dichotomy.
Correct.
Right? This is
sure.
These were not the only two options. There were a lot of other things. So this is where I want to start. Okay. Before we move into that, I just want to see, is there anything else, Jason, we want to talk about? Like, you and I agree that the pricing is substandard compared to other TCGs in the space. And it does not match the event that was being pushed more or less based on the top level pricing and the existence of available events for people to play. Yeah. And before I forget, by the way, it was Mitch Money at the Atlas 1K, 6th place with Reanimator Kylo, 1-for-1 the main deck list. I was so stoked to see that.
Sick.
Huge shout out to Mitch Money. Mitch Money, if you happen to see this, you must see main deck at some point. If you happen to listen to this, comment down below so we can all congratulate you. I want to pin your comment. I would say, hey, it's me, and I'll pin your comment, and I'm so excited about you. That's so great.
That is so sick.
Congratulations on your 6th place. Okay, but anyway, sorry. I just didn't want to forget that.
I concur with all of that. It misses the mark compared to other standards that other games do, and the messaging without saying it doesn't match what was being portrayed, like what we thought we would be getting.
Now, I want to be clear again. So like we're taking this from a constructive standpoint. Yeah. Where I really just want to point out that I'm pointing this out just simply to say that what needed to happen was and this is where we're going to approach kind of what could be done with this. Yeah. If these prizes are simply not going to meet the level of the tournament being offered, a route needed to be taken at some point to either downgrade the tournament in a way, like literally, like don't put a Galactic Qualifier prize at this thing.
Yeah.
If this is seriously year zero and it's, it doesn't, that was another thing I heard from people. This is year zero. It doesn't matter. You should be glad you get anything, right? I am glad we get things for sure. I'm happy we get things, but I'm also not going to just not say when I see a game that I love comparing unfavorably to games that I don't want to play.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Or we're playing this game because we enjoy it. We don't want to look to other games and their pricing store and be like, oh, well, maybe I should go do that. No, we're having fun doing this. So we want this to be successful. We want it to work. So I think that's why we're having this discussion today. So yeah, I can't argue any of that. I agree with everything.
So to that end, then what could have been done?
I think
I'll let you lead the way.
I think the easiest solution is if by now we're looking too far skin in the game, well, shoot, we only have enough 64 promos and stuff like that. Then why don't we toss the store even a couple extra boxes for prize support and say it in the stream? Something to do is like a make good. There's ways to do make goods. And I think that there's the biggest thing, the takeaway from today was the stream announcement about it. And you made that point to me when they announced, all right, and how many players does this kit support? 64 players, and how it almost felt like the air was deflated from the room, right?
I've seen a lot of people commenting on this. It was like
super awkward, right?
It was a question. Xander, I love Xander.
Yeah,
I love
awesome
I love the whole dev team, but everyone's amazing there. But Xander reads the comment and it's answered with there's 64 player kit by Corey. Corey answers the question, and there's like a moment where Xander almost seems to notice like that was not the ideal answer, right. But these devs are often also a little constrained as to what they're able to say. Yeah. They kind of have a specific, like an agenda for what they can talk about. And I totally sympathize and understand with them that like they can't go off script in that way. Right. And like because they might say something that would get them in huge trouble with licensors, and they're playing with a big license that they're
be careful, right?
Simply not going to take risks on, right? So, but it was this moment where like, it was like you just could hear like you said, the air getting sucked out and then just kind of moving on. Like, well, let's just keep answering going, questions.
Right. So like there has to be a make good and to be done there. And I'm hoping, and this is hoping that this is past us talking and they've rectified this already with an additional announcement. Supplement the price support in other ways. As something that has already happened, not talking about preventing it in the future. I'm talking about something that's already happened. These prizes are made. This is done. How can we supplement it? I imagine the cost to send. I mean, they're send stores that are hosting these events are obviously retailers that were selected for a reason, whether it's pre-order allocations, population density, stuff like that. What's the instance of sending them more product just as a make good? Like, hey, you know what? We missed the mark on this. Here's extra price support. So that way everyone still feels like they're leaving with something versus whatever the store has to put in. The onus should be on the store now to be like, oh man, this price support's not good. I guess we need to dump more into it. Well, they're already dumping their resources, their time, their employees, the venue space.
Right. And I think there are like so many ways that this can be approached. I will say, so for the future, what I want to see from Fantasy Flight is I want to see a return to some of the transparency, the really incredible transparency we had in the early streams, where we got some like really good, hey, remember Destiny? Here's what went wrong. Here's why this is going to be different. And I want them to come back. And we had that Jim Cartwright, like he went on and said, everything's sold out. I'm really sorry. Here's when we're going to get more, like, that kind of stuff. I really do think we need something for this where they're going to come on and they're going to say, here is exactly why these planetary qualifiers are so weird, right? Because really they're weird. That's the weird thing that's going on. There are big, small events with small prizes for a big event. It's and none of it really makes sense. None of it jives. Why did that happen? Why are there only 64 participation promos instead of 128 for each one? and then a follow-up of exactly what you're saying. Now, here is what we're going to do to try and address this.
Yeah.
And more importantly for me, like I think the make good, like you're saying, is like a really critical part of this, right?
Yeah, there has to
booster
be
packs,
something.
send raffle prizes.
Yeah,
send
something.
what if every store got 4 convention exclusive kits that they could just raffle off to players? Like that's a cool, like, okay, sorry about that, but
I would go.
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they could do stuff like that doesn't cost that much because again, there's only like 30 of these events, right? It's like it's not that hard to get this, and they have distribution channels that can send things out, and logistics can be taken care of that way. It doesn't to me, and maybe I'm just ill informed, but to me, it seems like it wouldn't be that complicated to fix it. At least do something to make good. And then going forward, I just want to I want to hear from them that we acknowledge, right? We acknowledge that due to whatever factors, we kind of messed up in advertising this event. Obviously, when the system is fully fleshed out, we intend for this not to be an issue. And here's what we're going to do just to make sure, your planetary qualifiers are better. Like they have announced already. They said for set 3, there will be over 3 times. I think they said over 3 times the planetary qualifiers or something. And that's great.
That's
awesome.
Good. No, it's good. More events is great.
Really, really good. That'll help a ton because then people aren't going to have to travel as far for PQs. But if the prize is still anything like that, they're still going to travel for it.
Yeah.
There's not going to stop people from traveling to these events. And I would like to see them take their understanding that people are traveling to play in PQs right now and use that to inform the prizing loadout and the messaging about the event.
Absolutely. And I think my one thing to tack on, we kind of like, we're really aligned on this, but I think my number one thing is they should be proactive in this.
Yes.
This should not even be a conversation we're having. It should have been addressed. Hey, before this, like, or even as part of it, hey, this is what's happening. These are the logistics as to why, and then part of the prizing announcement, not hopefully something that's happening either before this video came out or after. Like I love the transparency, but proactive is what's going to be so important to keep trust in the community because people want to play and enjoy this game. But it's really hard to kind of reconcile. I really enjoy playing this game and I'm having a lot of fun and I want to travel these events to, well, what am I traveling for? And am I even going to get anything for traveling to it? So I don't know. I think there just needs to be an emphasis on being proactive with that transparency. And it's not even about the quality of the stuff being made because we could have conversations and we kind of made jokes throughout about the choices between this and like even the set 1 showdown. I mean, a spade needs to be called a spade there. It's not, I mean, that's probably the furthest from the problem with this. The problem is that it's just as a logistics of a 128 player event, not even be able to meet the needs of all 128 players is just, it can't happen again. It just simply can't.
It can't. And so I want to be,
I don't think it will either.
Right. I don't want to be, I don't want to end this episode with people thinking that we are negative about the future of Star Wars Unlimited based on this. Again, this is purely just like, we need to throw our opinion out there. We want to be heard because we're passionate about the game. And by producing this sort of constructive criticism for the company, we're doing our part, we believe, in assisting in making that future more possible by just kind of lending, hopefully, a sort of fair but critical voice to a decision that was made, so that hopefully decisions continue to be good, better in the future. I think that again, Star Wars has plenty of room to grow and plenty of room to be incredible. I do know that players right now are reacting pretty negatively to this, to the point where I'm reading comments like, I wish I wouldn't have signed up. I wish I didn't have a hotel booked. I don't actually want to go to this anymore because I am disappointed in the prizing. Because while there are a few competitive players out there who are like, yeah, it's fine because I know I'm going to do really well.
Right.
Like those, that's great. But the vast majority of players are ones who are saying stuff like what you were saying earlier, Jason. I'm going to go do my best. I hope I place well. I hope I can get first. But the worry that they are unable to get prizes, that they're unable to get prizes at all is not something that should be the case ever again. And also though, that the prizes are simply not up to par, because like, who is going to want to buy Legal Authority non-foil OP gradient border promos?
And not even about buying it, to be honest, to just have it and want it.
Well, yeah,
like
to have it. I mean,
like
those
even
are
if
part
like
and
it's an
parcel.
entry thing, it's just not. It's, I don't know. Like, I don't want to complain about the choice of the cards, because there'll be plenty of people doing that. But would it have killed you to put Maul as the top 16 card? Like, oh my god, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's that
we don't need Poe or anything like that. We don't need anything super crazy like that. Although I've been sick, but like, we don't need anything like that. But like,
I feel like it's the whole thing. It's a combination, right? It's like, it was like a perfect storm of just nothing quite lining up right, and then was capped off by there's only 64 promos. Yeah. Like, you can't. I just like how
it's how, just tough.
But how is things happen? Stuff happened.
It is what it is.
Right? It is what it is. So what I want to do as we close this, Jason, is just wish everyone who is playing in their planetary qualifiers huge luck. I wish you luck. I hope you. Yep. I hope you guys are able to kick butt. I hope you're able to place well. I hope you earn that day one, that day one buy, because that seriously is an insane prize. That is so nuts. And I hope that when we post this video, FFG has already come out and said, like, yeah, we kind of screwed up, but here's what's going on. Here's what we can do to address it. Here's what anything, honestly though, and just anything would be great.
I kind of, again, this is tough to be one of those going back and forth discussions when you and I are literally of the same mindset. Like because it just needs to be said that, again, go do well, have a great time, enjoy time with people who really are passionate about this card game and obviously want to play and do well, and spike that day one buy, which is still insane that like those words come out of our mouths, day one buy. But hopefully with the understanding that, this hopefully is just something that doesn't happen again. There's easy steps to rectify it in the future, and try to get that uniform messaging about the events. Again, it was a push and pull with how this event is supposed to be. There's no meshing to the messaging and the prize support. And it's just kind of unfortunate, but it's all growing pains. I think this is definitely something that's easily recovered from. And I look forward to seeing what happens with all that information.
Yep. I think the recovery will be the important part.
Absolutely.
So we will see what they do. Does this bode negatively for the future of the game overall? Growing pains. I think that's still true. I wish it weren't the case. I know that, but
we're kind of getting later in the game with the game itself, right? We can't just attribute things to this is new, throwing stuff at the wall. Hey, oops. Eventually you have to throw the mulligans away. Like there's no more mulligans. There's no more, hey, but at the same time, you and I and the people who watch us and the people who at large care about this content are very passionate about the game, want it to grow and want it to succeed. And that's what we're just trying to convey here. Hopefully they get that fixed and right. So that's all it is. Onward and upward. Yep.
Onward and upward. Great way to leave it off, Jason. This it may look like a low point for tournaments right now, but looking forward to that. Hopefully a response. I'm looking forward to some upgrades. I'm looking forward to season 3, or season 0, set 3 of season 0, whatever. I'm looking for the set 3 where we have way more PQs, and they have gone and they've addressed everything, and it's beautiful, because that is certainly something that can happen. But those are our thoughts on the situation at large. You guys, let us know what you think in the comments down below. This might get a little fiery. I don't want it to be fiery, okay? Yeah. There's no room in the community for name calling, for pitchforks, for chasing down, doxing devs, none of that stuff.
Yeah, whoa, don't do that.
I want absolutely, it's not like that's happened, I don't think. Whoa. But I just want to be clear that like I don't want any of that stuff. If I'm going to tell you right now, if you can't be kind about your comment, you can't be constructive with your comment, just leave it in your head then. That's okay. But if you got an interesting comment to leave for us, you want to chat about the situation, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Let us know on YouTube, or I don't know, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, email us or something.
Join us in the Discord, discuss in the Discord with us. Let us know what's up.
Yep.
But yeah,
Jason, why don't you?
I think that's it.
That's what we got today.
We did it. We talked about it. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea. Thank you for listening to Galactic Ambition, part of the Main Deck podcast family. For Dan, I'm Jason. We really talked a lot. Can't wait to get ready for the Sith Skirmish. It's coming up before we know it. Check it out. Join, and have a good one. Be good people. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. It's back.
The butterfly's back.
It's back. Let's go.